Reflect greatness. Let's go. You were made for greatness. Oh, you were made for greatness, baby. You were made for greatness. And don't you let them tell you nothing else. Yeah. You were made for greatness. Oh, you were made for greatness, baby. You were made for greatness. And don't you let them tell you nothing else.
Hello, this is Antoine Rogers again with another episode of Out and Up, where we encourage young athletes to achieve their very best outside of the game. Today, we have our first high school athlete that we'll be spotlighting and interviewing, and I'm just going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
I'm Tre Phelps, high school baseball player at Georgia Premier Academy, going into my junior year of high school.
And we thank Tre for joining us for this interview. Just appreciate you, man. I believe that some young athletes will be encouraged by hearing his story, where he's at today, what he's achieving already, because I know with some of my guests, it'll be people that have graduated from college, gone on to other careers. But today we have a young man that is currently doing it as we speak in high school. So first, we're going to start off where he's from. Tre, why don't you go ahead and let everyone know that's listening and watching where you're actually from, city and state. I know you've already told us you're from Georgia, but city and state, where are you from?
I'm actually from Norcross, Georgia. The school I go to, Georgia Premier, is in Statesboro. So I live actually on my school campus while my family still lives in the house at Norcross, Georgia.
Okay. All right, cool. So again, I'm always the person that say I like to give people a visual because I'm not from Georgia.
Okay.
Where you go to school at, where's that in location to, I guess, Atlanta?
Okay, so my actual house, Norcross, is probably about 30 minutes north of Atlanta, not too far. The school I go to is about 3.5 hours southeast of Atlanta.
So okay, he's a baseball player. Actually, again, our first baseball player that we've had on the show. So we're gonna get right into the questions. When did you start playing baseball?
I was 3 years old. I started playing
3 years old. What position do you actually play?
Well, I played third base. That's where most of my rankings, anything, come from. But honestly, lately I've been playing a lot of shortstop. So, but if anything, if I had to give somebody one position, I'd say third base.
Third base? All right. What's your favorite third baseman of all time?
Favorite third baseman of all time? I honestly love Manny Machado. He plays for the Padres right now.
All right. What inspired you to start playing baseball?
My dad. He played baseball his whole life, and then the first time, I actually still remember we were at a field called Gresham Park in about Metro Atlanta. Went out and worked out one day, and it was hard, but I liked it. It was just fun.
Have you played any other sports?
I played soccer for a year in first grade. I played basketball for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I was actually pretty good at it too, but I just decided to pursue baseball.
Decided to focus on baseball.
Sure.
So I think it would be safe to assume that you probably have aspirations for playing pro. Would I be correct in saying that?
Abundantly correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. So how long would you say you had those aspirations?
I would say I always had an aspiration to play pro, but I wouldn't say I honestly didn't really start putting in the work to fulfill that until about probably freshman year in high school.
So I know a lot of baseball players throughout the years. I've seen some that may play for a traveling team while playing for high school. Do you pretty much play just, one baseball team at a time, or do you have a conflict in schedule where you're playing for multiple teams?
No, usually I'm playing one team at a time. My dad actually owns my summer organization that I play for.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't really have the choice to go play for this team, that team. He
All
always
right.
makes sure we're in the biggest tournaments, the biggest spots to succeed. And summer season and high school season never conflict with each other at all.
All right. The one thing I think most people don't know as we start this conversation, we're going to get into it.
Okay.
Mr. Tre is doing big things, people. I'm here to let you know, and you're getting the opportunity to be introduced to him at an early point in his career. I've heard through the grapevine, Mr. Tre, that you're not just a baseball player. You're ranked pretty high in the country. Why don't you let us know your rankings, whether it's statewide, in the country? Just run down your rankings for us.
Position wise, in the state, I'm the second overall third baseman in Georgia. And in the nation, I'm the 8th overall third baseman. And overall, regardless of position, 96th in the country and 13th overall in Georgia.
That's good, Tre, man. Keep up the great work, because I know it takes a lot to be in the position that you're in. They don't just hand out those rankings. I think you have to do some work to earn those rankings. How do you stay grounded as a young man in high school, knowing that information? Because what I tend to see as a former football player that have been a fan of sports across the board for years, I watched so many highly scouted players get to a certain position and they seem to lose that hunger, or possibly allow those rankings and the attention that they get to go to their head. How do you stay grounded knowing that information you have as far as being ranked in the country?
I think I have a great balance of people around me. My mom ran track at Clemson. My dad went on to play baseball at Howard. My aunt played at Georgia. It's just a lot of athletes around me who want to see me do good, in my family, which is really who I listen to the most. They're always, you're doing really good, but you have a long way to go. They always remind me, you have more ahead. They won't say never be satisfied, because if you do that, then you're just never going to feel as if you're a good player. Be satisfied with what you're doing, but always know there's more work that you can put in.
That's good information. Very good information. So it's obvious that you have a good surrounding around you that's keeping you, grounded and making sure that you stay humble while also recognize that you're blessed with the gift. So that's very good. Very good. And this last question before we go to a break, I'm gonna just ask, other than being a professional baseball player, have you ever thought of any other career goals?
Honestly, I've had two, but if I was pursuing one, I want to be a sports psychologist, actually.
Okay.
I'm really good with talking to people, it just comes with being a good leader, knowing what you're thinking, what you're not thinking, what shouldn't you be thinking. So I think that would be a really good thing for me to study and become a professional at that too.
Well, that's awesome. Well, again, folks, we are here talking to Mr. Tre Phelps, and you heard him say it, 96 ranked baseball player, and he's in the class of 2023. And the young man is already focused on life beyond sports, and that's what we're going to get into in the second half. So after this commercial break, we'll be back with more questions right after this.
Hey, what's going on, Zakai? Thank you, man. I appreciate you. You're doing a great job. It's lemonade, man. Chaotic Records, man. Come get it, man. Shout out to Ish for the good lemonade.
Welcome back from break. Again, this is Antoine Rogers with Out and Up. Again, joining us today is Mr. Tre Phelps, the young baseball player out of Georgia. And so we're going to get right back into the questions. Tre, what does your workout schedule look like?
Cool. Well, during the school year, our coach really pounded on us the first semester because we're not playing. So we work out usually from 1 to about 7:30, just about an hour, or I'm sorry, 1 to 6-ish. Usually lifting for about an hour, just pure skill for an hour, defense, hitting, stretching, conditioning, just a lot. That's 5 days a week. And then Saturday, I may do something light, nothing too heavy, I don't want to take 2 whole days off. Then I just lose it and then have to gain it back again Monday.
Gotcha.
Sunday is usually my day off.
All right. So with this program, we have young people that will be as young as middle school age. So for them, I ask questions like these. Did you face any obstacles transitioning into high school? Like, was it a big difference as far as the speed of playing from one level to the other?
I know for a lot of guys there are, but honestly, I've played up a lot. Like my eighth grade year, I remember one time we were in West Palm Beach, Florida. I got a call at like 8:30 p.m. The 18 guys only had like 7 players. They needed me to come. So I
Wow.
played up a lot. So I wouldn't say it was too big going to high school.
Okay.
The biggest jump for a lot of people though.
Okay. All right. Now, from any of your peers, are there some things you've heard that they've had to deal with as far as that transition?
Usually the pitching is a lot, like catching up to the speed of pitching, being around a new group of people because middle school, a lot of y'all are usually closer in age. High school, you don't know, you may have a 19-year-old team with a 14-year-old. So it's just, you feel pressure to do other things to try to impress somebody else when really you should just be yourself.
Wow. Wow. Well, Trey, I could tell you this. Don't laugh at me, Trey, but I recognize baseball was not my thing at the age of about 8 or 9. I played for 2 years. I played Pee Wee in New Jersey for 2 years. I ended up going on to do pretty good in football in high school, but I tried baseball first. And at 8 or 9, I played 2 complete seasons, and I may have hit a ball in play one time. So
Yeah.
the fact that you've made it to this level, I know that you are very good because I could not catch up with the ball at 8 or 9 years old.
Baseball hard.
Yeah, it's some work, but you're doing a great job, man. What are some of the big obstacles being a student athlete? And we're gonna get into grades in a second, but
Okay.
juggling school along with putting the work that you put in pertaining to baseball.
Honestly, you gotta prioritize time. And it's honestly, I think the reason I'm so good at it now, my mom just practiced with me doing that a lot as a kid. Like if I wanted to go out like with friends, if I wanted to like go hang out with somebody, she'll say, "Well, if you want to go out at this time, you need to finish doing this at this time. So I need you to come back and plan this, this, and this in a time window that you think you can finish it." Now it's just like second nature. Like you want me to come at 5? Okay, cool. Let me finish this at 3, and I'll meet you there at 4:30.
And that's good information. That's good information. I hope the young people that's listening, he's giving you nuggets so that and I understand as a mentor that sometimes young people may not have some of the support that you have, but you're giving good information now and just making sure you're planning things out. Some of the other guests that went on to be college athletes also explained the same thing as far as time management. So making sure if that sport is important enough to you, or even getting your work done in school so that you can achieve the degrees and things that you want to go towards a career, you're going to have to balance that out and make sure you have good time management. So that's good information. So Trey, you talked about as far as going out and doing other things. What are some things that you do in your spare time?
I'm actually an only child, so honestly, if I'm not out, I always have friends over. I'm
Okay.
always hanging out with friends. We may just go to Top Golf and have fun. We may just go out to eat. I just
Okay.
being around, not even people just in general, just friends. And I'm a big family person. If I'm
Okay.
off and I have no friends over, I'm gonna be at grandma's house 2, 3 days in a row.
That's cool. So let's talk about college. We know that you have a goal to go pro. And again, those that know anything about baseball versus some of the other sports, many players go on to play in college. However, some have the option to go straight to pros right out of high school. But as you're going through this process, I'm sure there are several schools that are probably looking at you and talking to you. I don't know. Can you talk about some of the schools that you've looked at throughout the last few years, as far as some possible schools that you may attend?
Possible landing spots. Talk to the University of Georgia, Clemson, South Carolina. We talked for a little. Florida State, Oregon, University of Pittsburgh. So really mix of a lot of schools.
Okay. All right. And looking at those schools, what are some of the things you're looking for in those schools? Because I think young people need to know that you need to be looking at something outside of that school giving you a free education, like what are some things that you're looking at as you make that decision and ponder on what school you may attend?
Well, I mean, being a student athlete, it's in the word student comes first.
Right.
You want to know, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like I said, I want to be a sports psychologist. So I know what schools have a good psych program, who's
Okay.
good at this and this. That's honestly first. Second, I don't want to be too far from home, about a 6-hour drive at most.
Okay.
And then after that, you can say, okay, is this a good baseball school? Will I fit here? Will I play as soon as I get here? That's just what's most important.
So let's ask, you just talked about being a student first and then an athlete. What are your grades currently in school?
Overall GPA in high school, I have a 3.5 GPA.
Okay. Good.
Mostly A's and B's. I've never had a C.
Good. And so again, and I'm happy we have you on, because seeing a young man like yourself that's currently working hard, ranked high when it comes to baseball. However, you're still making sure that you stay focused on your grades. You have your plan for after, baseball and when it's over, or even just maintaining your grades and making sure that you go on to complete those things, so that there's something in Tre beyond just being a baseball player. So I commend you on that, young man, and just continue doing what you're doing. What I want to ask is, how important to you is it to have positive people in your circle?
Very. The wrong friends, family, or just people in your circle in general, you may not notice it doing anything now. It will always cause something in the future, and it may be big, little, may not go your way, or something you could have avoided way back then. And I have I'm not gonna say I have a small circle, but I don't have a really, really big circle where I can just let anybody in. I know who I need to be around.
Okay.
I go off that just based on not how they act around me, but how I hear from another person, or how they talk about another person. Because if I'm gonna use just two of my friends in general, I have a friend named Keith and a friend named Eric. If Keith was to come to me, just I don't know, say something about Eric, then Keith honestly isn't the type of person I want in my circle.
Gotcha.
And Keith's gonna, what if he has to tell something to Eric about me, and we're just not on the same page.
Wow. That's wisdom there. That's wisdom there, young man. That's good. That's good. So I will ask, if you had an opportunity to speak to a group of young athletes right now, say middle schoolers, what are some things you would tell them in regards to staying disciplined with getting better at the sport, as well as staying disciplined with getting better with their academics? What are some things you would give to them?
The first thing I would tell them is sports isn't just about what you do on the field or on the court or whatever sports you play. Like, academic wise, that always needs to be your first priority. And when you get that done, you can go to any college you want to if you put the work in on the field behind it. You can be number 3 player in the nation. If you got a 2.5 and you're a basketball player, you're not getting into Duke. That's just not. That's a great basketball school, and you're the best of the best. But if you don't have that academic part of it, then you're just not going to get in. I would tell them, stay focused. You may be the hottest thing in your middle school, but when you get up to high school, then that's when nationally comes in, people you never heard of. Then that's when people are going to work the hardest. And lastly, I would say you need to eat right.
Okay.
Like, you may think you're a kid and you may not wait till an adult. If you eat right now, your body is going to give back to you what you put into it.
Okay.
I had to learn to be disciplined. I'm not going to say I've always eaten right.
Right.
It probably didn't come until about last year. Cause I was just always hot. I was like, dang, it's just hot out here. I don't even know. I'm just tired. And this year, literally the only thing I drink is water. Maybe water and Gatorade, because I need electrolytes too.
Okay.
Maybe a sweet tea here and there. I don't drink soda at all.
Right.
And just eat what's right for me. Like, if I know I'm about to go play a week-long tournament in Florida and it's gonna be 100 degrees, I'm gonna stock up on pasta the 2 days before that, so I have that energy in me when I'm playing.
Okay. Well, that's good. And Tre, we're not going to hold you much longer. We thank you for answering these questions. I believe the information that you've given and the example that you're being, I believe it's going to be a big help to many young people. However, I want to ask you last, who
Okay.
inspires you in life?
In life, my grandmother.
Okay.
She is awesome. She helps me with anything. I can go to her and not feel judged about anything. On the field, probably my father, but just if I need anything guidance wise, I'm going to her.
That's awesome. Well, as you have seen today, we have young people that are doing big things in sports. I thank Tre for taking a moment, I know out of his busy schedule, to sit down with us and just give his side of life as an athlete, as a student first, of course. But we're wishing Tre the best. You had an opportunity to meet him today on Out and Up. So Tre, we look forward to you on that next level, whether you whatever level that may be, whether it's college or straight to the pros. We're looking forward to seeing you, man. We know that you're gonna stay focused. I'm already gonna speak that, man, because I can tell you're a young man with a good head on your shoulder. And I thank God for those that are in your life, because young people, there's many young people that get the mentor that don't have that. And so I even speak to those people. If you happen to be in a situation where you don't have people surrounding you, then always look for that coach or that mentor and be willing to be open to letting them kind of guide you through the process. But even in this program, you have information from a young man like this that's doing it, and he's giving you some tips on how to stay focused and make it to the next level, not only in the game, but in life. So again, we thank you for joining us, where we encourage young people to achieve their very best outside of the game. Thanks again, Tre, for joining us today, man.
Thank you for giving me your time.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Made for greatness, baby. You were made for greatness.